disruptors. We are back with another episode that I could not wait to get to. As you see, we have a beautiful, radiant guest who is the master of mindset. And today we are going to be talking about a new book that she is releasing this week. I'm your host, Dr. Alisa White, and I have Penny Zenker, who is the focusologist, with us. And we are very excited to celebrate her newest book that is called, which one, Penny?
It's called, is number 2, and it's called The Reset Mindset. Woo!
Yes, The Reset Mindset. And I am very excited about this book. Penny has given me the honor of getting a sneak peek into her book. Yes, I'm one of the first people to be able to read it, and I'm definitely reviewing it at a high 5 out of 5. But guess what? I'm not the only person who said that. Mel Robbins, New York Times best-selling author of The 5-Second Rule. You all know Mel. We love her. She has called the book a simpler yet more powerful way to change your life. And Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, he is Thinkers 50, #1 executive coach, describes it as the guide that adaptly navigates the intersection of personal growth and change. And Jeff Hoffman, former CEO of Priceline.com. Yes, he has had some amazing other individuals read this book, sees it as a tool to transform. And we're talking about, you saw it, The Reset Mindset by our fabulous guest, Penny Zenker. And she shares practical strategies for overcoming obstacles and achieving fulfillment. And she offers a structured approach to change, ensuring that it is both strategic and effective. And that's why I love her work and I love what she does, because she doesn't talk the science alone. She gives us strategy. And these are ones that she's proven and tested as she works with her client. This book is not just about encouraging change. It's also about providing tools that are definitely necessary to make change happen effectively. And we talk about purpose on here, purposefully. So today, Penny, let's dive deep into how you and all of our viewers are going to be able to harness the principles of the reset mindset to get unstuck and focus on what matters most so we can reach our goal. Penny, welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments. And just go ahead and tell us about yourself, who you are and what you do.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited for this chat that we're having.
Yes.
Well, I've dubbed myself, right, the focusologist.
Yes.
And maybe just to explain what that is, people are like, where'd that come from? Did you make that up? Yes, I made it up. But I made it up not because I'm the most focused individual and you should listen to me because I am focused and you're not. Squirrel, we are human. Right?
Right.
And in today's day and age, it's been stated, I don't know who stated it, I saw it on the internet, it must be true. We have less attention span than the goldfish, which is pretty sad. Pretty sad, right? So, but in this day and age, with this environment, with all the distractions, whether it's the technology or whether it's the political environment, the social environment, right? There's a lot of change. There's a lot of dissatisfaction with the way that things are and need for change.
Yes.
And it's on people's minds and it's distracting. So the idea of the focusologist is to be able to make it a daily practice,
right,
to take back our focus, to take back our time and our energy and focus on the things that we can control.
Yes.
As opposed to exhaust ourselves on the things that we can't. So that's the idea of the focusologist. And I invite everybody to join me in this practice. And the reset mindset that I've been talking about on stages for the last 2 years is how we do it, right? We do it one reset moment at a time.
Wow. You also coined the phrase reset moments. And I love that. If you can just give us a little bit about what first a reset mindset is, and then what a reset moment is. Because I love it. Because mindset mastery moments. We decided that you have to master your mindset moment by moment. and you need doses. It doesn't just all come. So to see that you have actually, as the focusologist, figured that out, you're just backing up what we believe here at Mindset Master Moment. So tell us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so let's start with the reset mindset. What is the reset mindset? So the reset mindset is founded on value creation. And so it means that we're constantly, so dynamically, it's about dynamic reassessment and the willingness to reinvent with that foundation of looking to create value. And why the dynamic piece is so important is because it's about real-time adaptation. And one of the things that helps us understand the reset mindset is many people have heard of the growth mindset. So I call it sort of the next generation of the growth mindset, because the growth mindset talks about believing that we have the power to influence our future, that we can put effort and persistence forward, and we can learn and grow and change from, and adapt more easily. But that's over time, and it's based on that effort and persistence. So with that grounding foundation of learning. So the difference is, and how we build on top of that, is that the reset mindset, again, is that real-time dynamic learning in the moment by the feedback that we are receiving in our environment, in the marketplace, and being able to more dynamically adapt based on the value creation. So not based on what can we learn from this, but what value can we create? And then that will drive the learning. Wow. So it's slight nuances, but Carol Dweck, she did fantastic work, and there's been incredible studies.
Yes.
And that was started in 2006. So if we look at how change has become such a huge part of our lives, the speed of change, the rate and pace is much faster than it was then. So the reset mindset gives us the tools that we need today.
Exactly. Because we're ever evolving in our consciousness, in our minds, and how we think and how we be. And our challenges are also becoming different in the world today than it was even just in 2006.
I know, right? It's so true.
This is growth mindset 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is my favorite.
Yeah, and we give it the language of reset, because it's also, language has such power and intensity and direction. And so reset is so inviting. Like, I find also that it's very sticky for people. Like you said, these reset moments and the reset mindset, it's sticky, and people are using it. They're sharing with each other. Hey, let's take a reset moment, which gives you the permission to slow down. Right? To slow down so that we can speed up, to recognize that going faster sometimes is counterproductive, and it means we make more mistakes, we get lost, down the wrong path.
Yes.
And it's that dynamicness of slowing down and being able to check in. Are we still on the right path? Are we all in alignment about the problem? Has it changed?
Exactly.
Are we dealing with the root cause? All of those things, to ask those critical questions that guide us along the way.
Oh, I love that. And that's where that you said it's reset in its moment. It's like to stop, think about the thoughts you're thinking about. And are these thoughts going to help me go in the direction of which I want to go? And I love that. So, Penny, when you thought about putting a book, and you mentioned earlier that you had already been on the journey teaching these principles that are inside Reset Mindset. So there are a lot of people who have been transformed on the journey. But when it is called a transformative guide to personal and professional growth, could you tell us, just to begin with, outside of you teaching the principle, why did you think and what inspired you to put it down in a book and why do you want readers to really get a hold of it? Why everyone listening should at least get a copy for themselves and give it to everyone else? Why is it so important what you teach in the book?
Why is it important to me is just because of how transformative it's been for me in my life. And I really believe that it's the core reason why I've had the successes that I've had in my life is because I've been building this, and it's now innate. Like, nobody's perfect. I'm human, but I think like this. Like, when I realize that I'm overwhelmed, I'm quicker than most to stop and to do the 3 steps that I talk about, which is to step back and really get perspective and realign. And the more that people do it, the more it's going to totally transform and change their life. So instead of fearing change, they're going to see it as an opportunity. Like I seek change. How can I do this differently? How can I experiment? And so it becomes a little bit of a game. So, and I'm not saying like there are stressful, serious situations that you can't necessarily, gamify, like if you have a diagnosis or something like that, right? But you can look at it from a different perspective, and you can say that I'm not going to accept, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna educate myself so that, maybe it's the food that I'm eating that can make a difference to help me, find a way back to health. Maybe there's alternative and newer techniques that are out there. We don't have to just fall into that fixed mindset, right? Which Carol Dweck talks about, which is, I don't have any influence. There's nothing I can do. It is what it is.
Outside me. Yeah.
And so I just think we all want to be the best version of ourselves. And I love the human spirit. I love the resiliency that we have naturally.
Yes.
Every time, we're all like that. Every time we hear that, like, underdog story or when we see resilience in others, it's so inspiring and motivating. And so I just want to spark that in other people and show them that it's really right there.
It's possible.
And it's possible, and some easy ways to access it.
Exactly. And that is so needed. So when the concept, I want us to go into a little bit more in your principles, the 3-step principle, because even Mel Robbins, and we know she created the 5-second rules, and a lot of us just hone in on that. But she herself says that the reset mindset it simplifies even her 5-second rule principle for transformation. And so in the concept of the reset moments, if you can take us in, which is a central piece.
Sure.
And you talked about it little. Could you explain what these moments are and how they've helped the individuals that you've worked with?
Sure.
With their core values and their goals and intentions, and what those steps are, if you want to elaborate on them, so we can grab a hold of them a little bit till we read the book and tap in.
Okay. Well, the first thing is in those moments, right? Is to, like, I love that you said that, is that, it's moment to moment.
Yeah.
And so, but we have to recognize the opportunity. So we have to see the signals that there is an opportunity here to reset, that there's maybe an emotional reaction that I'm having or someone else is having, or maybe I'm exhausted, or I made a mistake. Or I'm blaming someone. Like, we have to be a professional noticer to see these things come up. That's the reset moment. It's the event of recognition. And when we call it a reset moment and use that language, I believe because we're using the word reset, it intuitively triggers these 3 steps, which is to step back, get perspective, and realign. But I don't want you to take it literally. It's a mental model.
Right.
Meaning that it's a way of thinking. And there's lots of different practices, like Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. That is a reset practice. Right. She has us recognize the moment.
Yes.
And then the reset practice is to count backwards, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. That practice brings us into consciousness in the moment and align us with our goals, our values, and our intentions. Exactly. And that is the whole purpose of a reset moment, is to kind of be like, instead of meditation and bringing you back to your breath and the present, a reset moment brings you in line with your intentions and your goals. So like you talked about, the purposefulness.
Yes.
And it could be the 5-second rule. It could be the 80-20 rule
Right.
of how do I focus on the 20% that makes 80% of the difference.
Yes.
It could be a quote that snaps you into focusing on what's most important. It could be looking at a picture of someone that you love that snaps you into, that connection to that relationship. So before you go have a difficult conversation with them, you're coming from a place of compassion versus anger, right?
Yes.
So all of those can be reset practices that are either done, before we walk into a conversation. They're either proactive or they're reactive in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Oh my goodness. That is, and I love that. So I'm encouraging our listeners and viewers to get into the mastery of those reset moments and without overthinking it. I love that you left it open, that those moments can be created by you in the way that you would want to, based on what goal you have to refocus on. Because of course, that's where we lose or win. It's literally in the moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And we all have different strategies that we know have worked for us in the past.
Yes.
So, I introduce a couple, but we also can reflect on, well, what works for me, right? For me as an individual, and then just moment by moment being consistent about activating them.
I love it. And the 3 steps are, again, number 1,
step back, get perspective, and realign.
So can you tell us, the stepping back is where that moment begins. Mm-hmm. Getting perspective, what does that look like internally for an individual?
So getting perspective, it happens already from stepping back, right? When you step back away from the emotion, you see things better, right? And then I use, I do have a little one here. I use the Rubik's Cube in my talks.
Yes.
When I explain the reset mindset and these 3 practices. And, I kind of say, well, if you're looking really closely, right, it's also possible to be too narrowly focused, right? That's the way we've always done it, the way when we're focused on one side, right? This is our beliefs or
sometimes they're limiting beliefs, what we've been
exactly.
Yeah.
And that are triggered. So when we step back, we're automatically getting a greater perspective. And then the perspective piece is, okay, now I can tilt it, twist it, and turn it, right? I can step to either side of it. Right. So that means I can ask other people. I can ask better questions. Well, how else could I look at this? And what else does this mean? And, what else? How can I? What if? Right? All sorts of questions that we can ask. How might we? That each time we ask a question and ask it over and over again, like you may have heard of Toyota's 5 whys, right? Where they get to the root cause. Yes. That's getting perspective by simply asking, why did this happen, or what happened here? And then given that, what happened? And then given that, and why?
Exactly.
Until you get to the root cause. So the more times we ask something, the more we broaden our perspective on
literally our view.
Absolutely.
Literally, you can see more. And I mean, once you brought out the Rubik, it's like, yeah, I can see a whole lot more. It's almost like having a 360 view of what's happening. I love it. I absolutely love it. So Dr. Marshall Goldsmith highlighted the importance of reevaluation and reinvention also in the book, which I loved, as tools for success. How do you suggest readers use the concept to navigate their personal and professional challenges of the reset mindset? How do you suggest they do that?
Well, I think it's, first identify what is that challenge.
Right.
And then, let's take an example. I think it would be helpful.
Yeah,
give me an example of a challenge that somebody might be facing in their personal or professional career.
So I'm thinking of a person that, first of all, they've lost their job and they're looking for work. and they're stuck at, well, do I want to go back to the same industry, or do I want to explore something? Because I feel like I'm called for a little bit more than this. Where do I go from here? Because I deal with those clients every day, those are the ones.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And I have a little experience in this. I have been let go from a position.
Right.
And it's hard. I think the first thing is, how are you feeling about it? Right. Because emotionally, you can feel like, it can really shake your confidence.
It does.
And so right there is to deal with the emotions that you're feeling at first, because what's the meaning that you're giving this? That's the place to start. And I talk about this in a story in my book about, a time where, anyway, get the book. It's about when my father died and how I came to this understanding that the meaning that we give something is so powerful. It is the perspective that shapes our attitudes, our expectations, and our priorities, and then of course drives our outcome. So if we were let go, how are we interpreting this? What's the meaning we're giving it? So
giving it.
Are we not good enough? Are we, right? Identify those, and then we have to ask what else. Well, what else could this mean? So that's the first thing, is what else could this mean? Well, this could mean that maybe I'm meant to do something else.
Right.
Maybe I'm meant for something bigger. That's one of the things when I actually went out for a public speaking position when I was working with Tony Robbins. And they had like 1 or 2 slots, and they were interviewing everybody. We had to submit these things. I was so excited, and I thought, yes, I can do this, and I'm good at this. And I submitted it, and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I had to really, at first, I was just like losing a job. I didn't get it. So, did it mean that I wasn't meant for public speaking? And at first, that's what I felt. And I was really, I did. I mean, I felt like, okay, I'm not good enough. And then I started to let that sink in a little bit, and instead of asking myself just once, what does this mean?
Yeah.
I've come to ask it a couple of times. And I said, well, it could also mean that maybe I'm not meant to present someone else's content. Maybe I'm meant to present my content, right? And then I thought, maybe I'm comparing myself right now to people that are up here. I'm just getting started. Yeah. So why am I comparing myself? Maybe I wasn't ready for that position because they wanted someone who was more advanced. Yeah. So we start to get perspective. When we really give ourselves some space away from it and step away from the emotions and our initial instinct. And so I did. I wrote my first book, The Productivity Zone. I started to speak on stages, and my career has been growing ever since. And I'm constantly challenging. And, I've had situations where I didn't feel, I tried something new and I didn't feel that it went great. Okay, well, what did I learn from it, right? That's another question. Yeah. What did I learn? What's the feedback? What worked and what didn't work? Very often, we might look back at that job that didn't work out, and we might only focus on what didn't work.
What didn't work?
But what were my skills? What did I excel in? What did I enjoy and love? And so I think it's all of those questions that just when we ask them and we have some space away from it, and maybe that space means, go away, go to a park and do some journaling, like get some space away out of maybe sometimes our environment, it brings with it all of those limiting beliefs. So sometimes we need to get out of our environment.
The same old cycles.
Yeah, totally.
In order to get off the monkey wheel, you got to get off the monkey wheel.
Yes.
No way. There's no way out at all. Totally. I love it. That is just a perfect example. I love, because we do have in our community at Mindset Mastery 360, we do have so many people who are pursuing, young people are pursuing public speaking and so much. So when you said that, maybe I'm not meant to present someone else's content. Maybe I'm meant. And ultimately, that's the that's how we get innovation. If everyone is going to be a Tony Robbins coach, speaker, trainer, which is nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong, or Maxwell or whichever you choose, that's one thing. But then we will miss out on all the goodness. We would miss out on this book, The Reset Mindset.
That's right. It never would exist,
never
right?
would have existed had you not been. So it's like, what's next for me? You've just given us so much in my, and so now I'm going to tap into something Jeff Hoffman said, because this is so important to a wide section of our viewers and listeners when it comes to entrepreneurial mindset. He said that the book embodies the entrepreneurial journey of assessing, rethinking, and reinventing. And that is so huge. I've done a lot of solo episodes about that. Can you share some of those practical strategies from the reset mindset that can truly help an entrepreneur and stay on track with what they want to achieve, which is their goals, which I don't believe is much similar than you would do in a professional experience or in your personal life. But if you had to address that assessing and rethinking and reinventing, what would that look like as an entrepreneur?
Sure. I mean, it's essential today.
Yeah.
Because if we're not in the pulse of how things are changing, then we're going to be left behind.
Absolutely.
You know, one of the quotes that I use in the book is I talk about Nokia, the CEO of Nokia, when they were bought out by Microsoft. He said, "We didn't do anything wrong, yet somehow we lost."
Oh,
so powerful, right? And they were, if for people who are listening, you know, Nokia they created the mobile phone market.
Yes,
and they were the leader.
It was my first phone.
Me too, right? And they were the
antenna
leaders. So, like, if it can happen to them, right, it can happen to you. It's so easy to, and if we come back to kind of mindset, is you might think you've got this great thing, and it's going to stay great, and you're going to stay on top. That's actually what makes us lazy.
It does.
And makes us fearful that we're going to lose our position. So we dig our heels in more to stay where we are. But we have to continually question and challenge the way we do things, challenge the assumptions we're making about the marketplace, and just constantly be experimenting if we want to stay relevant, if we want to continue to grow.
Right.
And that's just the way it is.
Right. I think I'm hearing you say, know what matters. What matters? I'm thinking about when you talked about being innovative and thinking, I'm thinking about even with the podcast we're on right now, Mindset Mastery Moments. I did not know when I started the podcast I did not know much about being a top 100 podcast on Apple, having a score of 1.1, being around 1% of podcasts in the world. All that's like foreign to me. I just had a clear mission of, I really want to help people master their mindset. So that's my focus area in my coaching, in my speaking, and it always comes back to mindset. Yes, I talk about leadership, but I got to bring you back to the way you think. I can't get anything done. I can't do stuff in Africa or India or anything without helping people understand that their thought processes and how they think about themselves, how they think. I got to. So that was this platform was built to understand the mindset is the key to your success. And I wanted to have content from experts and myself, as many as I could get, because I didn't even dream about you. I just my other friends were doing really great. So I had a small vision for the podcast, but the podcast took on a life of its own. But when you start to see, the podcast is over there with Ed Moletz and jumping back and forth in top 15, and you're like, it's crazy because it could be top 15, it could be top 45, it could be 45, and then it could be 101. And it's like, okay, you can't focus on that. That is something you don't have control of.
Right.
As a person who's bringing this gift, what matters? It matters that people are being reached. We're doing our very best to get this to as many ears as possible. It's that we're getting quality. It's mindset mastery. And once that's focusing on what matters, because remember, I started not knowing any of this exists. And we got there anyway, because the focus was clear. The message was clear. The branding was clear. And that system was very clear. So with that being said, that's what matters. And the mindset for us is deliver high quality, and you keep getting the guests like yourself and so many others, which is high quality, bringing value. And look at what you've done.
Value. If I might, I just want to point that.
Jump in.
We started this talk when I said the reset mindset is grounded on creating value. If that's the core that drives us to be better, then, and that's exactly what you just said. You built this because you created value and you focused on the value creation. You'll continue to grow and you'll continue to innovate and be creative as long as you're focusing on value creation.
That's right.
It'll keep you moving. It'll keep you thinking. It'll keep you actually having more fun, right? Because
come on now, it's not
right. Are you having fun doing this?
Yes, I enjoy every guest. Right. I'm enjoying you because I'm lit on fire. And so that's the other thing. When you're in that space of creating value, there's so much authenticity and comfort and fun. And then value is just created. And then, like you said, that's where the innovation comes. And you go to the next level. You know, we've been talking about, okay, let's create a television show for the podcast.
How can we reach more people and create more value?
Exactly. You know, let's do a conference and the Masters of Mindset. Bring our top guests with the biggest downloads, and we just have a conference, whatever. So the innovation it keeps creating because you keep figuring out more ways to add value. So that is so profound, and that definitely addresses entrepreneurs in their journey. So again, this book is not singular in its mission and the value it's adding. Go ahead.
Definitely. It's not singular in its mission. It's I say it in there and I say it in all my talks that resetting as a strategy, the reset mindset is, it's a time management strategy for greater focus. It's a communication strategy for more empathy and understanding. It's a resilience strategy to help you to, focus on what you can control, and it's that innovation strategy to drive new ideas and creativity, right? And it's a leadership strategy. It helps us to build new leaders because it helps us to create autonomous leaders. So if you have the thinking process, really you can approach any problem to step back, to get perspective, and to realign, like any and all problems. Like in my business coaching, that is, and I realize that is the simple process that I would use, right? Through questions, there's many frameworks you can use, but in general, that's what you're doing.
Exactly. Oh man, so many gems that were dropped here today. Perfectly said. So Penny, one last question. When someone reads a book, transformation is obviously going to happen in their personal, professional life, and even in their careers. What else do you hope for when readers read the book?
Well, I hope that this spurs, right, its value creation so that they share it, that it becomes, because people say that it's sticky for them, and then they start using the language and sharing it. So, I see it as a reset revolution to start slowing down, to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and our mental health, right? That's part of the reset.
Yes.
That we're focused on value creation for others.
Oh, come on.
So, and just, and being more creative and resourceful in the way that we go about solving problems.
Oh.
And, we continue to have more and more complex problems. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I say is that the reset mindset, the reset practice, it makes the complex simple because it brings it down to 3 simple steps that are done over and over again. Like you said, one moment at a time, one reset moment at a time, or one mindset mastery moment at a time builds that state of readiness. So when another challenge comes, when you do this over and over, and it's just part of who you are, that's how you respond.
Yes.
Right. And it's so much, it reduces the effort and it reduces the stress. And that's also one of the big differences between the reset mindset and the growth mindset.
Yes.
Is the growth mindset talks about effort and persistence. I'm not
Right.
saying that you shouldn't put effort and persistence in,
Right.
but it's also, that's exactly what's causing a lot of burnout today.
Mm-hmm.
People are putting
Effort
so
and persistence
much
in the
effort.
wrong, not in the wrong, but the places that are not aligned for them and what they're looking
Yes.
for. And they're
Yes, and if we
Yeah.
focus on the feedback in the moment, we be able to adapt more quickly so that we don't need as much effort and as much persistence because we're more agile and adaptive. So that's where we can also save ourselves and our
I'm going to put that on repeat. What you just said.
repeat.
I put it because I mean, I'm getting to learn. I get firsthand, but I love going back and listening to these episodes. And that part, I'm just going to hone in here a little bit for our listeners and viewers. She said that a lot of us are persistent and focused on, I want you to say that again. I'm putting you.
I'm trying to remember how I said it and what I said.
You said that we're on repeat and we're focused with persistence on things that are not necessarily where we want to go, not the goals that we want. So when we do the reset, it gives us that moment to say, am I still in alignment?
Yes.
Am I still in alignment?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we work our way from center, I say, and we need to get back to center. And this is what that is. So, because it's like, let's just say, and for example, for those who are listeners, because I got so excited, they were like, what happened? What happened? So for example, again, with the podcast, what's my mission? We talked about this. So that's an easy one to jump back to. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
But if I allow myself to go down the alley of trying to compete with being in the top, whatever, 100 all the time, then I would focus on that and I would miss the alignment of the value and the why. Yeah. Remember, we talked about being purposeful of this actual podcast. Now, the being in those spaces and places and getting those recognitions are a byproduct of the value. But if I focus on the byproduct, I forget the value, I end up losing both. So those reset moments it brings you back to center and it keeps you focused on the right thing. This is why she's the focusologist, guys.
Right? Well, that's one of the things I love that you said it's the byproduct of focusing on the value. Yeah. And the same thing is true of productivity. We get lost in the act of productivity for productivity's sake. Productivity isn't the point, right? The point is the value creation.
The value, right?
So we find ourselves optimizing and, for the sake of optimizing. And so we have to remember that productivity is the byproduct, right, of focusing on the value. So I love that you brought that language in there because that's exactly what it is.
It's a big thing in our relationships, in our career, in our businesses. It really is. And I love that you talk so much about it in the book. And so finally, I'm going to go just a little bit of what Howard Friedman says in his endorsement. He said that it gives keys, steps to techniques from, it gives everyone. Can you give us keys that would help us with implementing, making that change if you haven't given us enough on being strategic? Is there anything else you wanted to add from the book that you cover that can give us a key with being strategic and impactful in making the change and implementing the reset mindset?
So the keys, maybe to reinforce what we've said, the keys are having a clear language, right? So the reset, it doesn't matter if you use the word reset. I'm giving some language, but I was on a podcast the other day and the gentleman said, our family word is blueberry. That means, everybody calm down.
Everybody chill out.
Yeah, but chill out isn't, so sometimes we use words like calm down or chill out, which might trigger you more. So you need a safe word, right? You've heard that.
So he used blueberries. I love that.
So, it doesn't matter what the word is. It's whatever works for you. So have a language that helps you, that's accessible for you and those that you're using it with. The other is to be structured in your approach. So, very often we'll say that we have awareness, like, and then we don't take it any further. Like, okay, I know that. Okay, well, what are you doing about it? Right. And so that's why it's so important that we go through all three steps, that most people skip the get perspective step and they just go for the first solution that appears. Yeah. Because that's the way our brain works, is we want to here it presented itself, but all that is the very first thing that appeared. It's just one side of the cube, right? Wow. So yes. we must make sure, even if it's just for a moment, right? That we check out the other perspectives, that we ask the other people in the room. We don't want to just listen to the loudest person. Yes. So go through the whole structured process when you're going to take a reset moment and make sure there's some space for that reflection and that digging a little deeper, those questions. So language, structure, and, simplicity. We already talked about the whole thing is about value creation. Yes. But it's simplicity, coming back to understanding and having everybody in alignment on what that value creation is.
Ooh, so good. So good. So good. Oh my gosh, Penny, it's just been so incredible. So tell us, where can we get this masterpiece?
You can go to Barnes and Nobles or Amazon, but I have a page for the book. It's called theresetmindset.net. Right. So they can go there, because if they go there, once they purchase the book, and there's links to different bookstores and whatever, they can put in their purchase number and they can get all sorts of great goodies that I'm offering for just the September launch period. So there's going to be, with the hard copy, they're going to get the audio version that I read myself. I just finished it. They're going to get the electronic version, because none of those are available at the moment. So they're going to get that whole package. Wow. They're going to get access to my learning center, where they're going to have further complimentary content that's not in the book. Oh, wow. Adds to the book. There's an extra chapter that's in there that's not in the book. And there are guides, and so like discussion guides and even implementation guides for organizations. So I want people to get the most out of it. So there's a ton. Plus I've got 7 to 10 other thought leaders who have graciously donated either their book or a chapter or something else that's fantastic. That's going to help people. It's all that. Once they buy the book, they get all of that.
Oh my goodness. That is just so, I am floored. Because here's why I'm floored. Because the book itself is so much value. Like I said, I got the sneak peek e-copy already, and it is a masterful tool. I know I am learning and relearning, and I have, again, the simplicity of it all. It's just so, and it's applicable, and it's right there. So guys, get a hold of it. I am getting my copy. If you're listening to this, that means it's already out. We have timed this episode with that. So go ahead and click the link in the description, whether you're listening to podcasts, watching it on YouTube, or if you're watching a clip on our social media platforms, get this. And you said this offer is only available for September.
That's correct. And also there's going to be a 50% of the profits are going to Alex's Lemonade Stand, which is about childhood cancer research.
Oh my goodness. Perfectly. So you get basically a complete mindset overall in a bundle. And so it's unmistakable. You can't deny yourself of it. Even if you don't think you're going to read it now, if you listen to this episode and how transformational it has, you need the tool. I say, what do you have in your toolbox? Because you cannot shift your mindset without having tools. And this is a tool that I am predicting is going to take the world by a revolutionary storm in mindset mastery and shifting to be productive. And again, she's not telling you to be busy doing inconsistency. It's doing it the way that you get results. So, Penny, tell us how else we can get connected with you. Where's your domain? Where do we find you at? so we can get even more of you?
Sure. Well, I've been dropping lots of videos on social, whether it's TikTok, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn. LinkedIn's really the best place. So come and, hook up with me at LinkedIn and, interact with me. I love when people share comments. And of course, when you share comments, more people see it. Penny's Keynote is my website. If you're looking to do a group training or have a keynote for an event, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. And the resetmindset.net is where you can get all the goodies for the book.
Awesome. All of it is in the description. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Penny, for sharing your wisdom and insights with us today. The Reset Mindset is clearly a powerful resource for anyone looking to transform their mindset, achieve their goals. And to our listeners, be sure to go get the bundle. I am going to be one of the first people to grab it after this. And so that's it for our episode today, guys. Remember to master your mindset in every moment. And we've got a tool that's going to be a complete companion, I say, to this podcast, which is the Reset Mindset. And if you enjoyed a conversation, please subscribe, connect with Penny, and let us know in the comments wherever you're listening or watching this. And let you know, go on LinkedIn, get on our social media, and let her know you heard her on the podcast as well. Again, live passionately in purpose. And I love today's message is focus on the value. Focus on the value. Penny, any last words from you before we go?
Just make more reset moments, right? That'll change your life and it'll ripple effect to change everyone around you because energy is contagious. Make more reset moments.
Make more reset moments. Until next time, disruptors, we are out. Live passionately on purpose. And remember that your mindset is the key to your success. Bye now.